Columbus, Ohio was once a world-class city, boasting some of the most amazing architecture ever known in America. But what happened? Where did these magnificent mansions and buildings go, and why isn't Columbus known for its architecture anymore? Hi everyone, Ken here. Today we are uncovering the shocking history of Columbus, Ohio's lost mansions. Hit that subscribe button and let's dive into an extra special episode of This House. To fully grasp this concept of Columbus, Ohio being an epicenter of art and architecture, we need to go back to the early 19th century, when the area known as Columbus is set against the backdrop of a restless nation eager to expand its borders. The Ohio country, a region marked by dense forest and fertile land, attracted settlers and traders who sought to harness its potential. The area's strategic location at the confluence of two major rivers made it a natural hub for commerce and transportation. In 1812, the state legislature decided to establish a new capital, and Columbus was born. Named after Christopher Columbus, the city was meticulously planned with a grid layout that mirrored the aspirations of its founders. The streets were lined with grand structures, from government buildings to cultural institutions, each echoing the architectural styles of the time. As the 19th century progressed, Columbus emerged as a powerhouse of industry and innovation. The arrival of the railroad in the 1850s transformed the city into a bustling nexus of trade, facilitating the movement of goods and people across the region. Factories and workshops sprang up, and the city earned its reputation as the buggy capital of the world, with the Columbus Buggy Company leading the charge. This era of economic prosperity brought with it a boom in construction, as wealthy residents built their legacies in stone, constructing a city full of beautiful artisan work to last for centuries, a world-class city their descendants could inherit and be proud of. But unfortunately, fate had different plans. The architectural legacy of Columbus is a reflection of its historical evolution, marked by periods of construction, adaptation, and demolition. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the city boasted an array of opulent mansions and public buildings, each a masterpiece of their respective architectural styles, and as we'll find out, each and every mansion you are about to see has been demolished. Constructed from 1886 to 1888 at 750 East Broad Street, the Frisbie Mansion, later known as the Frederick W. Schumacher Mansion, was commissioned by Mary L. Frisbie, the widow of Charles Frisbie, who had been a prominent hardware merchant. The 12,000 square foot house was envisioned as a family residence to be the home of Mary and her 10 children. The home quickly became a landmark in Columbus. Its robust construction, featuring stone quarried from the nearby marble cliff, lent the mansion a distinct presence, elevating it above the surrounding cityscape. Yet despite its grandeur, Mary Frisbie did not reside in the mansion for long. In 1901, she sold the estate to Frederick W. Schumacher, a man whose life and contributions would become inseparable from the mansion's legacy. Schumacher was an immigrant who arrived in the United States in 1873 and achieved success as the head of advertising for the Peruna Drug Company. His entrepreneurial spirit and keen business acumen earned him a fortune, which he invested in both his home and the cultural enrichment of Columbus. Under Schumacher's ownership, the mansion became not only a residence, but also a cultural hub. He transformed the interior into a showcase for his extensive art collection, which included work by European masters and priceless artifacts from around the world. The mansion's music room, library, and dining hall were all adorned with opulent furnishings and decorative arts that echoed Schumacher's commitment to beauty and refinement. Following his passing in 1957, the fate of the mansion became unknown and was demolished only a few years later in 1961. Today, this apartment building occupies the lot that once housed the Grand Frisbie Mansion. Nearby, at 721 East Broad Street, was the Italianate mansion of William Miles, which managed to stand for 82 years, and is now home to a Chinese restaurant. Thankfully, the neighboring house managed to survive. While Broad Street was considered Millionaires Row, Brighton Road also boasted some incredible mansions, such as the John Kaufman House, designed in the Italian Renaissance Revival style and clad in limestone. Unfortunately, it was replaced by this rather unremarkable apartment building in the 1940s. Back over on Broad Street, the Alfred Kelly Mansion, completed in 1838, was a striking example of Greek Revival architecture. Known for its grand two-story portico and Ionic columns, the mansion was built from warm gray sandstone, reflecting Kelly's prominence as a lawyer and politician instrumental in the Ohio and Erie Canal. It served as a governor's residence and later as a Catholic school, embodying the civic and cultural life of the city. Despite efforts to preserve it, the mansion was dismantled in 1961, with its stone remnants now resting at Hale Farm and Village, marking both a lost piece of Columbus history and a lesson in the challenges of historic preservation. Perhaps one of the most important mansions to be lost was that of Clinton Firestone, the founder of the Columbus Buggy Company, and a major driver of the local economy. This Romanesque revival mansion had been completed in 1887 and clad in dozens of unique terracotta blocks, making it one of the most complex brick structures in the US at the time. After Firestone's passing in 1913, the house was given new life, being adaptively reused as office space. However, that would only carry on for so long. In 1962, it was demolished and replaced by this auto body shop. While Clinton Firestone's mansion was being demolished, Joseph Firestone's mansion continued to live on. It went on to be owned by an architect through the 1990s who cherished and maintained the mansion, selling it way below its assessed value to a local foundation which neglected its upkeep. Despite protest, and instead of selling the mansion to someone willing to preserve it, the Joseph Firestone mansion was demolished by the foundation in 2008, and the lot remains an empty field to this day. The march of progress often came at the expense of preservation. As Columbus expanded and modernized, many of its architectural gems faced the wrecking ball. Urban renewal efforts in the mid-20th century prioritized development over preservation, leading to the loss of significant landmarks. The rise of the automobile and the suburban sprawl further contributed to this trend as historic structures were replaced with parking lots and commercial spaces. While I could tell you that some of these structures were saved, the very best were lost forever, often for cinderblock buildings, drive-thrus, and gas stations. What was once considered a world-class city grew too rapidly, forsaking its past in a hurdle towards the future, losing the very essence of what made it desirable in the first place. Unlike other cities such as New York and Atlanta, where mansions were replaced by high-rise apartments, there wasn't a demand in most cases for population density in Columbus, just a general disregard for maintenance. These magnificent structures were built to last for centuries by people who had a vision of giving their descendants a city to be proud of, which leads us to today, where Columbus is just another city, and certainly is no longer known for its architecture, but rather for what it has lost. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Columbus, Ohio's lost architecture down below in the comments section, and while you're there, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss a fascinating episode of This House.